Yo, what is up guys? Boris here, coming to you guys with another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Now, today, brand new raid boss was just announced, Raid Boss Cracker. We will be getting him in the game pretty soon. And so I figured right now would be a good time to make a raid boss video. Specifically, what are my top 5 most used raid bosses that I've recently been taking into battle. I figured that it would be a nice video so that maybe if you're a global player, you'll know which ones to focus on, which ones to limit break. And it's just personally kind of interesting, I would guess, from your perspective to see which ones I've been using a lot. Now keep in mind, everybody has different units, different legends, and different rare recruits. So what might be useful to me might not be useful to you, and vice versa. But I feel like it would be interesting to at least show you guys who I've been using a lot recently in my teams. And let's go ahead and get started. So at number 5, guys, we got Bola / Kai Boa. Both versions are good, both versions work, and Boa is just one of those characters that came out, was really strong in the beginning, and is still a pretty strong unit. Now the fact that she does a chain lock means that there's always a really good way to add damage to your teams. Just put her on there and you're gonna get a lot of extra damage. And one of the main reasons I think she's seen a lot more use now is because of the fact that now there's so many bosses with interrupts on orb boost and type boost that things like conditional boost, things like chain lock, alternative ways to add damage to your teams is becoming more and more important. And 2.5 chain lock, although it's not the best anymore, is still very, very powerful, really easy to throw on a lot of teams. And overall, just the fact that she also delays is really nice. Although again, at this point, not that many people can be delayed, and of course, a lot of bosses do have interrupts against delay as well. But still a very solid unit, and if you do have the Kai version, it's even better because she does it for 3 turns, so a chain lock for 3 turns, meaning that you can use it in one room and then go into the next room and still have that buff if there's a preemptive, or the fact that she also gives 2 matching orbs is really good. Which actually, I was using her during the previous treasure mode, and I didn't even know she gave 2 extra orbs, so she gives herself and the captain matching orbs, I believe. And that actually is really nice. It definitely can help get that little bit of extra damage. Just overall, a really awesome unit. It's been good for a long time and will continue to be good. If you can farm the Kai version, definitely do. I recommend it. And overall, yeah, just an awesome unit. So next up, guys, is Lucci, one of the most recent raid bosses. And you'll see a lot of recent raid bosses on this list. But overall, he's a very, very strong raid boss. He is a pretty much consistent 3 times fighter booster, which is a huge deal when it comes to treasure mode. Keep in mind that these raid bosses are going to be consistently boosted in treasure mode. There's only so many raid bosses. They normally throw in around 5 or 6 per treasure mode. So you'll see the same raid bosses be boosted over and over again. So Lucci, if he is boosted, you'll definitely want to use him. He is a 3 times fighter booster, which means that you can actually pair him real well with a Gear 4 V2 captain. For a lot of damage, so he's just a great captain for those situations. But really, his effect is where he shines versus a lot of bosses where I believe you can only have 1 boss in the room. If there's only 1 enemy, he will delay, and he'll also give a conditional boost. Again, explain to you guys that orb boost and type boost, while they are very powerful and have been historically the main way to get damage in the game, nowadays with so many interrupts, you are looking for conditional boosts, chain locks, additional damage to push through and defeat the bosses. So again, this is a great way, a 2-in-1 package, delay and conditional. Just been using him a lot. Overall, solid stats, and it's Lucci, so you know, what else can we say? At number 3, we got Raid Boss Barto. One of the main things I like about him is that he is a rainbow captain. So once again, this is a huge deal. Before raid bosses, their captain effects didn't really matter since you never really used them as captains. I mean, early on you did, like Mihawk and Doflamingo, but I'd say in the past years or 2, you didn't really care about raid bosses' captain abilities. But with the release of treasure mode, captain abilities on raid bosses is very, very important because they can help you make that 4th or 5th team that you need for your treasure mode. So they can help round out your teams. And in this case, Barto, anytime he's a treasure mode boosted unit, I normally use him as a captain because he is a rainbow captain. He goes anywhere between 2.25 to 2.75 when you use his ability. So it does decent damage. It's not the best multiplier, but it does go up to 2.75. And his utility is just insane. Now, he's a very defensive unit, which is why I don't think he's higher on the list. I was thinking of putting him number 2, but he is more of a defensive unit. but that's not a bad thing. That's actually, it makes him really, really powerful. Now, the first thing he does is he reduce damage by 97% above 3k. So normally, as long as you're around 4 to 5k, you should be able to tank the hit, any hit. You know, no, not any hit, but most hits in the game. And that should be really easy to do because he does recover 20% of your HP. So he's kind of like Legend Robin in that he will heal you and then protect you for 2 turns. Because the thing, it does last for 2 turns. And on top of that, he does reduce attack up and enrage by 5 turns. So again, even more of defensive abilities. If you ever run into those, you can throw him on the team and he will get rid of those for 5 turns. So very defensive unit, but very awesome. 20% heal is very good on certain teams. On other teams with maybe 20k or below, it's still solid and will let you survive any hits for 2 turns. Great unit. I really like using him. His limit break abilities aren't necessarily the best. I mean, it's just color reduction, but still great unit. Definitely recommend farming him if you have not. So at number 2, we got Zorro. Now Zorro is number 2 on my list, which means you're probably max his sockets. I'll get around to doing that eventually. But overall, Zorro, I think he is the most recent raid boss, if I remember correctly, and he's very, very good. I'm surprised at how much I've been using him lately. And of course, the recent raid bosses, you know, they get better normally. They should be getting better as time goes on. And he's definitely very strong with good stats. A 2.75 to 3.3 captain ability for 2 different classes, Slasher and Driven, makes him a really, really strong captain. Just like I was talking about Barto and Rob Lucci, he is a strong captain for treasure mode, so definitely someone that I always like to have as a captain if he is boosted. On top of that, he also gets rid of 2 of the most annoying abilities in the game, which is why I really like using Zorro, and I've been using him a lot. He gets rid of threshold damage reduction, which is really annoying. You guys know if you've ever run into that. And he also gets rid of percent damage, so percent damage reduction, the rainbow shield. He gets rid of that for 5 turns, and he gets rid of threshold damage for 5 turns, which makes him very, very powerful. If you compare him to number 3, Barto, he did get rid of attack up and enrage, but those for the most part aren't that big of a problem. You can normally either delay the enemies or you can defeat them. But this Zorro does get rid of percent damage cut and damage threshold, which is really, really nice. Allows you to get rid of those and then burst. Really powerful. And let's not forget, he does also give a really powerful color affinity boost to Driven and Slasher teams. So overall, just a great unit with great stats. Really decent limit break abilities with getting rid of orbs here. Actually, let's take a look at how many turns it is. 7 turns. So not the best, but not the worst. You know, it definitely goes in there when you need it. But very solid unit, and I have personally been surprised at how much I've been using him recently. So make sure, again, if you haven't farmed Zorro, make sure to farm him. And here we go, guys. At number 1, we put Bola at the beginning of the list. Sabo, another OG raid boss that's been around the same amount of time as Bola, and is still very, very relevant. Now, of course, both Bola and Sabo have gotten Kai form, so if you do have the Kais, they will be a little bit better in my opinion. But this Sabo, just overall additional damage, as I've said already twice in my video, is very important with the addition of interrupts. So bosses will interrupt nowadays for orb boost and type boost and delays and orb swapping. So Sabo is just a nice way to get additional damage that does not require you to have matching orbs. It does not require you to have any sort of boost. If your captain is silenced, you're still going to get that damage in. It's just great for so many situations. And you run him on almost every possible team. Now, you can do him on a buggy team. You could run him on I run him for my belly team. You run him for EXP Neptune teams. You could run him for Stall Shirahoshi teams or zombie teams. He is just overall just a very solid unit. Just realized I need to finish his sockets as well. I need to finish all these guys' sockets. But overall, this is definitely a must-have unit. I know most of you guys have Sabo by now on both global and Japan. So this is this is a character that you definitely want to maybe put some cotton candy on or limit break, because at 1625 attack, that's pretty good. I mean, he's a very solid unit. And yeah, I mean, that's the list right there. Those are my top 5 most used raid bosses in One Piece Treasure Cruise Japan. Let me give some quick honorable mentions real quick. Senor Pink, I think is a very powerful raid boss. Personally, I just haven't used him that much, but I think he is very useful. Kuma, both normal and Kai will always be great. Magellan, if you do not have Legend Magellan, I definitely recommend farming Raid Boss Magellan because they are very similar, but Raid Boss Magellan just does things a little bit slow, a lot slower than Legend Magellan. But definitely Raid Magellan, do farm him. And finally, Dofi, you know, Orb Booster, classic, the original 2.0 Orb Booster, always good on a lot of teams. And, you know, it's not bad. It's a little bit outdated nowadays, but you'll be surprised. You know, if you ever need that last slot, you can put Dofi in there. So overall, guys, these are the top 5 raid bosses that I recommend farming, or that I personally use the most. And before I end the video, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the brand new Legend Cracker and sort of see what he's going to do. So here we go, guys. Legend Cracker coming to OPTC. Not Legend Cracker, sorry, Raid Boss Cracker. What am I saying? Raid Boss coming to OPTC, brand new. And let's go ahead and take a look at his abilities. So first thing we'll notice as captain is a cerebral booster for 2.75 times. So that seems to be the standard nowadays, anywhere between 2.5 to 3 or a flat 2.75 in this case. So that's about the average for normal raid bosses nowadays, and a small HP boost of 1.25. So nothing too crazy there. Cerebral units, there are a lot of good captains already, so I don't really see him being that needed, but like I said, could be a good treasure mode captain. So special, reduce the crew's chain multiplier lock by 5 turns. It's not bad. Like I said, it is one of those annoying abilities, but it looks like he only gets rid of one ability, so he's not going to be as versatile as some of the other raid bosses. But he does make Dex orbs beneficial for all characters, changes all orbs including block orb, which is really big, into Dex orbs, and does a 20% HP cut to only one enemy that will ignore damage negating abilities and barriers. So and my opinion, like I said earlier, he's not going to be as versatile as other units, but he does give a full board of matching orbs, essentially. So he could be very good. I don't know if we know his color yet, so we don't know what color he's going to be. Of course, you could assume he's going to be Dex, but you never know. And a 20% HP cut is not that good, but it does go through barriers and damage negating abilities, so it could actually come in handy, especially against bosses nowadays that have 8 million plus. You're looking at dealing 2 million damage just with him alone, plus giving you all matching orbs. Could be pretty good, and it goes through block orbs. So this could be a very, very potentially good unit. I think he's going to be good, and I definitely will be farming him when he comes out. And with that said, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below maybe what your favorite raid bosses are. Which ones have you guys been using the most? And yeah, with that said, guys, until next time, peace.